Back to today's video. Today is Friday, September 4th, 2020. Happy Friday. Today we're taking a look at the betting odds for the 2020 presidential election. So on your screen right now, you can see this graph. It outlines where Donald Trump and Joe Biden were on the betting odds. This is an average from RCP. And since Joe Biden became the presumptive Democratic nominee, him and Donald Trump have been at a point in time. Donald Trump was above Joe Biden, and then Biden took it away in the beginning of the summer. But pretty much they've been pretty distant from each other in terms of the betting odds. There haven't really been too many points where it's very narrow between the two. Generally, the markets sway in favor of Donald Trump for a significant period of time. Then they sway in favor of Joe Biden. We saw this not too much in 2016, but we've seen this in previous elections, midterm elections, Republican, Democratic control. But this time around, now we're seeing Donald Trump's numbers significantly increase. Since the beginning of the summer, Joe Biden has led Donald Trump on the betting odds. I mean, we're talking about a point in time where Biden was up 24, in terms of a 61-cent share for Joe Biden and 36 for Donald Trump, if I was to just put it that way. Pretty much take the percentages and just apply them. They're not really percentages, just apply them to how much you'd pay for a $1 payout. If, let's say, Joe Biden was to win the election and you placed a bet that Biden would win on July 28th, it would have cost you an average of 61 cents for a share for the Biden campaign. And then if Biden ended up winning, you would cash in on that remaining 39 cents. Pretty much that's how it works on PredictIt, and some other markets are a little bit different, but that's generally what's being displayed here, which is why I think that it is interesting that Donald Trump's numbers have rapidly increased. So the market tends to move alongside one another. During this period of time, June, July, Biden was riding high. But as we hit August, for whatever reason, Biden's numbers continued to stay pretty strong. And then, it gets closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, a week later, from that point in time, Biden and Trump are neck and neck. And at this point in time, Trump is at his highest point since all the way back around this time period. When was this? June 2nd, 2020. We've passed through June, we've passed through July, and now we've passed through August. 3 months have passed, and Donald Trump was nowhere close to the number he is right now. So what's the reason for this? Do these people with money know more than we do in terms of the election? Maybe some of them do, but in terms of the overall numbers nationwide, nothing has dramatically shifted. Biden is up 7.4%. This has been pretty consistent throughout August and throughout July. While the numbers are down from a 9-point lead at Biden's peak, really, a 7-point lead for Joe Biden is nothing to laugh at. Hillary Clinton was only up 3% on Election Day, and she narrowly lost. So even throughout this time period, May, April, March, when Biden was still leading Trump by 5-6%, the betting odds had Trump up by a pretty significant amount. We see Trump up at his peak up 9% in terms of the average. That is very significant. Biden's numbers here were bad. He realistically should have been the favorite to win the election based off the data. The people were accounting for a 2016 error. They were accounting for uncertainty of the next couple of months. But nothing really has changed. Other than the fact that the RNC occurred, I don't see why these betting odds are narrowing up. People are wasting their money if they're betting on Donald Trump at this point. Unless something dramatically changes about the election, the betting odds are the only thing indicating that the race is actually narrowed up, because it hasn't. Even on the PredictIt map, we saw North Carolina flip from the Democrats. We saw Arizona narrow down to 54 cents. Iowa, Ohio, Georgia, Texas are all now likely. Before they were lean. So when you look at these states and you look at the cents that it costs for a Donald Trump share, they've gone up. Now, Joe Biden has surely recovered in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Florida was super close. It was within a cent. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and even Michigan narrowed down to 50 to 59 cents. So the election did narrow up a tad bit. On the overall national numbers on PredictIt, you can see on the 90-day average, I don't think they'll have enough where Donald Trump was on top. But you can see that, some things haven't changed here. In terms of the statewide races, though, they have. Now, the statewide races have always been a little bit off of what the presidential election national winner on PredictIt shows. When Trump was up here, Biden was still up in the states needed to win the election with 290 electoral votes based off that. It's really weird, but some people like to say Biden will win Michigan but lose the election. Biden will win Arizona but lose the election. So that does make sense in this context, but Joe Biden leads Donald Trump by a pretty significant amount on PredictIt, but in terms of the rest of the betting markets, it's not. Donald Trump has improved dramatically of where he was just a couple of months ago, and I think that is very significant even though there is no concrete data to back up that this race is actually narrowing up. While there are some Republican-leaning pollsters, literally with an R by their name when their polls get submitted on Real Clear Politics, they're narrowing up the race. Florida is a prime example. You can see because of that Trafalgar group that throws off the rest of the data. Biden hasn't led in a poll. Trump hasn't led in a poll here since March. But anyways, same thing happened in Wisconsin, narrowed all the way up. Same thing happened in Michigan, narrowed all the way up because of this Trafalgar group. Pennsylvania, we see it narrow up because of a new poll that shows out with Biden plus 3%, but still. It's also because of Rasmussen reports. North Carolina, we get numbers out of here. Biden's narrowly ahead, but this state was always going to be close and went to Trump by 4% in 2016. Arizona's actually been pretty consistent for Joe Biden, so not exact same thing happening here. But overall, based off the RCP average, you would say that maybe the election has narrowed up. Now, for the first time in quite some time now, the general election polls on RCP have matched the 538 polls. But in terms of statewide races, let's take a look at some of these more critical swing states. Arizona, Biden is up by 5. Colorado, not California. Colorado, Biden is up by 12%. Florida, Biden is up by 3%. He doesn't need Florida to win. He's only down by 1% in Georgia. In the state of Maine, Biden is up 10%. In the state of Nevada, he's up 6%. In Michigan, Biden is up 7%. In Minnesota, he is also up 6%. So as we go through all these swing states, New Hampshire, Biden plus 8%. Ohio, Biden's only down by 2%. This is a state Hillary Clinton lost by 8% in 2016. In North Carolina, Biden is up by 2. In Ohio, I just mentioned Ohio, sorry. In Pennsylvania, Biden is up by 4. In Virginia, Biden is up by 11. In Wisconsin, Biden is up by 7. So all of this data is showing us that the race fundamentally has not changed. While the national numbers may be 1% less than where they were a month ago, there's no reason for, the generic, the betting odds to all of a sudden have narrowed up. I think this is largely due to the fact that the RNC occurred and people were expecting Trump's numbers to go up, so they started investing in Trump, and then the market just continued from there. But you can see Trump even peaked off at this point and didn't overcome Joe Biden. So the markets are still matching what the national numbers say in terms of their predicted winner. But the fact that it's this close means someone somewhere is going to be losing a lot of money. And I don't think it's the people who betted behind Joe Biden this election. I mean, Joe Biden has been doing so much better than Hillary Clinton. They have a much better, more robust campaign. They're spending time in the best states possible. No Democratic nominee has visited Wisconsin since 2012. And Biden was the first yesterday. So the Biden campaign is doing things very well. And when we look at the overall numbers, I just don't get it. What is the reason? Other than the fact that maybe you could say the RNC has some type of effect on the election, there is no data indicating that the RNC has fundamentally changed this race. Because in this age of a digital, convention, it's hard to see how that's possible. And Donald Trump being at practically, 49 cents for a share is baffling. Because this is the only data. I mean, there's a reason why right-wing pundits love to use the betting odds. And, I use it. I do say that sometimes they are correct and sometimes they're not. But when they're matching what national data is showing and when they're matching what statewide data is showing, it makes sense. But for all of a sudden, the betting odds to just narrow up out of nowhere. And, with Trump and Biden neck and neck, despite Biden being ahead by 4% more than Hillary Clinton led by on Election Day, it doesn't make sense. There literally is no reason as to why the betting odds should be this close. And I guess you could say maybe the people who are spending money in these odds, know more than I do about the election, but realistically, they probably don't, considering how many people actually use these betting odds. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of shares in the 2020 election, but there is no indication that this race is narrowing up. You can check RCP, you can check 538. While the numbers may be closer, Biden's still leading, at least in the 3 key swing states he needs to win. He's leading by larger than Hillary Clinton, and he's doing very well in a number of other swing states. He's doing well in Texas, of all states. He's doing well in Ohio, in Iowa, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Arizona. The common quality of all those states, Biden doesn't need them to win the election. Guess who does? The president. And Biden is currently leading in Arizona. He's, in a close race in Iowa and Ohio and Texas and Georgia. He's leading in North Carolina. He's leading in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all Trump states from 2016. So it's very hard for me to see where these numbers are coming from. But it largely could just be due to the fact that the RNC occurred. We're seeing a bunch of Republican-leaning pollsters from Rasmussen Reports, Trafalgar Group, all showing the Democrats at worse point than what the rest of the data is showing. And I think a lot of people are jumping on it and saying, you know what, I'm going to take a risk and say Trump wins the election. But overall, the numbers still favor Biden, just way narrower than before. So Trump definitely has surged, but I honestly cannot see a reason why. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions. If you just want to see where I think this race stands, my most recent one was put on there from just a couple of days ago. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.